Hello world, I'm Justin Dodge. I am going to be telling you about my Hotblocks module in this video. I'll start out with a little demonstration so you can see it quickly in action, and then I'll talk about the settings and various ways that you can configure it. So to begin, I have these three little areas on the page. These are the Hotblocks that I've already set up. And if I want to add content into them, I just simply click the little plus button, and I can add various nodes or blocks. So I have this little Drupal block. I can add multiple instances of the same block, or I can add nodes, more than one of them. I can quickly remove them if I decide I don't want it. I can reorder them if I want to change where things are laid out. And if I want to create a new piece of content that doesn't exist yet, I can click this little new button. This will take me to the node add page where I'll create that content, and then it'll bring me back here and with the content then put into the hot block. When you're on this little assign screen, there's different ways that you can sort out what you have available. You can do alphabetically by one long list, by type, different node type or block here, or by category if you're using the taxonomy module. Then anything that you've put in its assigned vocabulary will appear on this page, sorted by your categories. We have one other option here, which is this global option that we see. So if I, right now, all the things that I've put on the page are currently, will just display on this page. If I turn on the global option when I flip it on, you'll see now that this new item has a little world in its remove area, whereas the other ones are just plain. And if I go to a different page, we can see that this global item will persist, whereas the other ones don't. So, and one more example of the way you might lay out content on a screen. These nodes could be images or advertisements, or however you want to do it. Here's a little example of the way, just with a single line of CSS, I can float these over to the left so that I can arrange them horizontally. So that's the basic gist of how it works, and there's a lot of different ways that we can set this up and configure it. When you first turn on the module, you probably want to go to the administer blocks area, and you'll see these three hot block 1, 2, and 3. Those are the ones provided by the default. They'll be disabled to begin, of course. I've set them in the regions that I want, left, right, and footer. And once you do that, that's when you'll see the controls appear in those areas. You can see if you don't have any content in a hot block yet, the controls are just there out exposed. If you do, then it's nicely tucked away until you mouse over so that you can access it then. So once you have that set up, if you want to allow other users, or you're not the super user, to use this module, you have some permissions that you can get to, and these are the basic ones. There's actually an option to expand these into some more granular, sort of advanced ways that you can permission people's abilities to modify these blocks. These are the basic ones. Administer will let you do any of these activities below. Assign gives you the ability to use this plus sign and put some content in there. Create gives you this link here to create. Now this doesn't actually give you necessarily the Drupal permission. Now it won't show you the nodes that you don't have permission to create, even if you are allowing them to be assigned to the hot blocks. And the same thing with the add. You don't actually, if you don't have access to edit this content via other means in the permissioning system, then you won't be able to edit it. But this is just controlling what goes on, adding and removing items from this block. So a permission for removing and a permission for reordering. So moving on over to the settings page, various things we can do. We can set up the number of blocks that we want the module to provide, and this is the number of things that you'll see in the admin blocks area when you go there. If I want more than 3 or less, I just change the number, tab over, it'll create a few more for me, and I can name them whatever I want. These are the names that you'll see in the administer block section. There's various ways that we can filter the content that's available. I can choose which node types I want to be displayed. If I want one or more or all, I can choose that. If you don't want all nodes of a particular type to be exposed when you add. If you want to do it on a node by node basis, you can uncheck this, and then the way that you would get content or make it available is by creating a new item here. And then once you create that, of course, that's put into the block. There's also, if you edit an existing node, you can turn on the flag to make it available to the hot blocks. And once the content has either been created via this means or flagged in the node edit screen, it'll appear on this list if you have this checked off. I find it easier just to start to leave it on, so it's on by default. But if you have a need for that, you can use it. This is the option to allow Drupal blocks to be inserted into the hot blocks, so you can turn that on or off. And you can also filter which modules blocks you want to be available or not. So these are the ones I have excluded. You'll notice when I look at the number of blocks here that are available, this is a lot less than what's actually in the system, because I'm filtering out all the modules that, or all the blocks that these modules provide. Next option here is for the terminology. If for some reason you want to change this this term, if you don't like the term hot blocks, if you want to expose it as promos or blurbs or snippets or whatever you want to call it to a client or something, so that it makes contextual sense with what they're doing, you can change that, and you'll see places where the term exists, like in the mouse overs, will switch to the new term that you want to use. If you want to use taxonomy to categorize the nodes that you see when you're inserting, you can choose the vocabulary that you want, and then any node that is tagged with a term in this vocabulary is going to show up in this category section to be available to assign. This option here, show titles only when reordering, can be a handy thing. You'll notice when you have a lot of content into these blocks, or each piece of content is really large or whatever the case, it can be kind of cumbersome to have to drag in long leaps with the table drag. So if you turn on this option, it'll collapse them just to their titles. So you can do that reordering a little more efficiently in a smaller area. That's what that looks like. Next we have our extended permissions. This gives you a very specific granular permissions for every block and every type of content that can go into it, and every action that can be done. So after turning that on, if we go back to our permissions page, you can see every role is now given these options for assign items of type block, which are the Drupal blocks, to block 1, 2, remove, reorder. So you have all the different actions you can control for every block and every user and every type of content. Or you can give the general permission. If I just give assign, or I'm sorry, not this one, but assign any items. I don't see it right off the top of my head, but assign any items will override the more specific permission. So if you want to do whatever combination of that, you can. So back to the rest of our settings. We have, you can turn off the interface icons if you don't like these little icons. You can turn them into text links. That's much less pretty, but if you have a cost for that, you can. Floating controls, if you just want to see these controls all the time and you don't want to bother with them popping up and around, you can turn that off, and then they'll just persistently be there. That can be helpful if you have some content maybe that got styled in a squirrely way and you're having trouble getting the DOM to recognize it. You can just turn those on so you can move it around or get rid of it, whatever you need to do. Also, these icons here, you can choose the icon size, and it's also fairly easy to create your own icon sets if you want to change the look and feel. All you have to do is add a new title within the icons folder in the module directory, and just copy or just make your own images that have the same file names that are used throughout. You can look at another folder for an example, and then this will automatically detect that folder name and then give you the option to select that as the icon set. As long as they're all properly named, then you'll see your new custom icons when you're hovering over the controls. And then lastly, in the settings, we have This is a sort of legacy feature that was requested a long time ago in a different incarnation of this module, but I find it to be pretty useful. If you want to hide the node titles of these things that you have, maybe you have an image or something and you don't want to see the title, you can choose to hide all, or you can actually choose to hide anything that's within these delimiters. So any part of the title that is encapsulated in parentheses, you can see will be hidden. And if I look over here on my my content, you can see actually that this test node that I have has a piece of its title hidden so that you don't see. So if you want to make an annotation to another person administering content, or a note, or just something that helps you reference what piece of thing is what, you can use it in that manner. So lastly, if we go over while we're in administer content, underneath here we have the Hotblocks area, and this gives you a couple ways to find all of the content that is assigned to your Hotblocks and to help administer it. So this shows all the blocks that we have, and then what's assigned to it, what its content type is, which page it's on, or if it's global, how it's weighted, and then we can also do the various node actions to view or edit, or and delete, or we can remove it all from here. So we can handle all these things at once from one page. You can also sort by, this is grouped by block, we can sort by page. So here's all the ones on this page, or this page. And lastly by taxonomy, which looks pretty much the same as it does in the assign thing, but it's still a way that you can look at it. Conveniently, also the settings link is in here just so you can get to it while you're messing around if you want. So that's pretty much the overview of the whole module. I hope you like it, and please let me know if you have any suggestions or comments or issues. Throw them in the issue queue, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks.